Everyone, thanks for joining us for our new episode of Out and About. This is with our culinary team. So I'm here with Matt Monaco, our Director of Culinary Services here at Deerfield, as well as Emily Curry, who is our dining room manager. Just to give you an inside look at the process that goes through making sure your delicious meal is delivered every time, at the right time, and it always is, like I said, delicious. So, Matt, welcome. And could you give us just kind of a brief background as to your role here at Deerfield?
Hey everybody, I'm Matt Monaco. I've been here at Deerfield for about 4.5 years. In that time, we've been through a lot together. For those of you that have been here the whole time, we've seen a lot as far as renovations. Added new venues. We added an assisted living venue and Haps Bistro. For those of you that remember when we remodeled the dining room, that was a long 4 months. In a nutshell, I oversee all of the food and beverage operations at Deerfield, from the independent living restaurants Lakeview Terrace and Haps Bistro to the health center, RCF, and assisted living dining rooms and pantries. And I have an excellent management team, and our excellent culinary services team make my job easy. So we're going to meet a few of those today as we tour the department.
Thank you, Matt. All right, let's go ahead and move over here to Emily. All right, like I said, here's Emily Curry. She's our dining room manager, and she could you just give us again kind of a brief background as to what you do, Emily?
Yeah, so I'm Emily. I've worked here for about 3 years. I oversee all of the front of house servers and kind of everything that goes on in the dining room and with the deliveries. So that's kind of what I do.
Great. Which obviously we know is a lot of responsibility, and I would certainly I think we have a fantastic team, so you do a great job, and I'm excited to actually have residents seated in the dining room
Here
again,
too.
and a lot of them are the servers are going to be new. So Matt kind of alluded to it in one of the town halls earlier this month that a lot of these servers, this will be kind of their first time actually serving at tables.
Yep.
So that's a long time coming, and we're very excited for that. So one of the things I wanted to just kind of show the residents is what happens, when a order is submitted to our dining room. How is it processed in the process along with that? So if you wouldn't mind showing us that would be fantastic.
Absolutely. So every night before all the servers leave, we leave the voicemail with the soup du jour and the chef special for the next day. So for today's chef special and soup du jour, we put that on the voicemail last night. So kind of when I get here in the morning, I'll type in the voicemail password, and then the voicemail will come on, and it'll go through the voicemails, and I will write them down. I have my piece of paper here that has all of the items on our menu for the day, and then we use one of these guest check papers to write all the hot food and all the hot sides for the cooks to see. So you'll see this more when we go back into the kitchen, but the front of house servers will use these, and we'll have the name, the apartment or townhome number, and the time of the delivery. And then on the hot food ticket, we have the name, so that when the hot food is ready to go out, we can match. We have the right hot cold food with the right hot food, if that makes sense.
That's great.
And then I have this table here. Maybe you can see on the camera or not, but it's separated by time. So this is all for dinner. We have 4:30, 5 o'clock, 5:30, and 6 o'clock. And then we keep them all separated so we know which residents go with which time. And yeah.
Good. Obviously, that's quite a process that you're having to go through every time somebody orders a meal. So, what is obviously the biggest difference, or is there much of a difference putting it in the system for when an order is done, as we start to, again, open up our dining room, as opposed to a voicemail? Is it really done any different?
So taking the order is a little bit different when residents come to the dining room, because typically the servers will just have one of these and they'll write everything that is ordered on just one, instead of having two separate tickets for like the hot and cold food, because our computer system is actually pretty handy in that when we ring in whatever it has been ordered on our little guest check pad or at the table, the printers that we have in the kitchen will automatically separate the hot food from the cold food. So we see what we're supposed to see and the cooks see what they're supposed to see, and there's not a lot of confusion with that aspect of it. So yeah, there's some similarities and some differences. The main difference, I suppose, would be that we don't use the computer to ring in the deliveries much anymore. We used to when we do like pickups before, you know, all of this and the dining room closed and we went strictly to deliveries. But yeah, so.
Okay. Yeah, that's very, very helpful and useful information. So let's kind of take a look. So what happens after it's submitted? Where does it go, and what's the process after that?
Sure. So, like I said, usually at about 10:30 or so, I'll take all the lunch orders back into the kitchen. So I'll kind of take them and stack them like this. So here's, you know, one order, and then I'll take the next order and stack them like this. So they're all separated and I know which ones go where. And I'll take those back into the kitchen.
All right. Well, let's make a nice, good transition. Let's go check out our kitchen.
I'll separate each time slot here. We have a 1 o'clock and a 2:30 delivery here, so you can see how they're separated, so they don't get all mixed together and then someone's order comes too early or too late. And then, as you can see over here, we have the cold food tickets laid out, and then the hot food tickets are back on that rail, which you'll probably see later. And so then we go through, we've got all of our desserts and salads in here, and so then we take the stuff that we need. This is 2 fruits, we cross it off, cottage cheese, fruit, macaroni salad, and we cross it off so that when we bag all the food, we know that we're not missing anything. And if we see anything that's not crossed off, we'll check with each other and say, hey, this peach crisp isn't crossed off. Did they get it? And then we can double check, and maybe someone just forgot to cross it off when they put it in, or we overlooked it, and then we can grab it for them and make sure it gets into the bag. So here's the peach crisp that wasn't crossed off. And then we've got some soups over here. And that's kind of the process of getting all the cold food into the bag. And all of our cold food is usually prepped either in the morning or the day before. So here's, you know, all of our fruits, our spinach, some raw vegetables and garden salad. So everything is all set and ready to go, which is very convenient for us because we don't have to, you know, spend a lot of time scooping fruit as needed or, you know, whatnot. We're making garden salads as needed, so that's where we keep all of our salads.
And as I look around, now some of the residents have had an opportunity to do a kitchen tour, but obviously we're showing, you know, one area of the kitchen. So let's do another fun aspect. Let's go ahead and take a few other, a little small tour around the kitchen.
Okay, welcome back. Matt again. So this is normally where Chef Aaron would take over and give a kitchen tour, as many of you have been through in the past. Chef Aaron is actually supporting one of our sister communities down in Florida. So we're going to meet several of his team members back in the kitchen. I'm going to give you a real brief kitchen tour first. So when we order the food, it comes in through these back doors here, and our U.S. Foods vendors stack it on pallets back here. Here's the dry stock. We have a meat and cheese cooler right here. There's a prep and produce cooler right here, and a big walk-in freezer right here. Now, every day we do just basic routine things like we check the temperatures on the coolers and freezers 3 times a day. Those are part of the state regulations that we're held to, just to make sure that your cold food's staying cold. Over here we have a communication board where we have job cards where every position in the kitchen has, it's very detailed, very spelled out, from the time they come in to the time they leave, the basic expectations of their shift. And each one works together very, very well. We have schedules, we have cleaning lists, we have ServSafe certifications. I mean, this is where we communicate between the department. So follow me back here. This is our dish room right here, and we do a lot of the same documentation over here. Don't want to get too in detail with that, but this is the dish room. Here we are in the main prep kitchen. So this is where the majority of the prep and production happens for the entire community. We have a lot of things going on, some things for later on today, some prep is happening for tomorrow. And as you all know, that we produce all of the food for all of the licensed areas of the community out of this kitchen as well. So in these hot boxes, we prep breakfast, lunch, and dinner. All the hot food is placed into one of these hot boxes. And every morning at breakfast, every afternoon at lunch, and every evening at dinner, the dietary team comes down, takes these boxes, grabs their cold food, and assembles the meals upstairs in each one of the satellite kitchens. Now if you follow me over here, we're going to join with our kitchen supervisor, Brett Henderson, and he's going to walk us through the order fulfillment process.
Yes. So we get the tickets from the front of the house, which are all the orders per time period, and then we put them up here, and we see what we need to cook, and then go from there. I'll do one ticket for you, real quick. This one we have meatballs, baked sweet potato, and carrots. So for the meatballs from the pasta, we put hot water. While that's going, I will grab the other components. And then our noodles should be ready. Check it.
All right, perfect. Well, as I was standing over here watching you work, obviously you can feel it's pretty hot. Well,
Yeah.
Those that are not watching, I guess can't feel it. But
Yeah, there's a lot of heat coming off the flat top and the ground.
how hot are these?
These are about 350 degrees on here, and our grill we have about, I'd say, medium high.
Wow. So in the summertime,
Oh,
it
yeah.
gets to be pretty hot.
Yeah. Especially during that derecho when we didn't have all the AC and everything, it was super hot back here.
I bet. I bet it was not very, very pleasant. So that's good. That's quite a nice little process you guys have here in setting it all up. So how do those stay hot? Is that water underneath?
Yes, it's a steam well, and we regulate them with temperatures down here. So the water's not actually touching, it's just the steam that heats it up, and we temp them before service so they're at the right temperature. And then at the end of the night, we change the water out, clean the steam the next day.
Pretty. All right, so we have that all prepped, and now we're moving to the towards the front of the house as we fulfill those orders.
Okay, so as Brett said, the front of the house, we usually have one person working as an expo who is checking all of the tickets, making sure that if they ordered sauce, they get it. If they want sauce on the side, they get that. If they any kind of modifications that were ordered, that it matches, that what's in the box matches what's on the ticket. So I'll double check. We've got meatballs, carrots, sweet potato, so that's good. So then we take the bag that has their name on it. Thank you. So this bag has the name and room number. And we very carefully put it into the bag so that everything doesn't spill all over the place. And then as you can see, these two parts here, they are separated by floors. So we have the townhomes and the second floor and the first floor. And we have the fourth floor, and these two are for the third floor. So this is on the second floor, so I will put it on the second floor shelf, and then they're ready to be delivered.
Very neat. That's quite a little process. Now, I think you mentioned something you called an expo. What is that?
So an expo is a person who usually mainly stays kind of in this area, and they, like I said before, the expo just kind of works as someone to get a second eyes on either the plate or the box to make sure that everything that's on the plate or in the box matches what someone has ordered. And then if there's like sauce missing or a side that's missing, the expo can say, hey, I need, you know, an extra gravy on the side, or I need carrots with this order, something like that. And then if, yeah, that's pretty much what an expo does.
Yeah. So they just kind of roam around and make sure that everything is
Yeah, they
is
just
in
make
order.
sure that everything is where it needs to go, what it needs to be, how it was ordered, everything like that.
And I think that, you know, one of the most important things about working in culinary, now granted I haven't, but communication seems to be absolutely vital. Is there, you know, certain things that you guys work on to improve communication, or is it mostly just time and experience?
So mostly I try to tell my team that, especially with the taking orders in the dining room and everything, if there happens to be a mistake on the ticket that they weren't able to correct before they printed it off, I always encourage everybody to make sure that they immediately go and talk to the cooks, because if there has been a mistake, then the cooks are really the ones that need to know. If it was like something with the hot food, which, you know, happens from time to time. And so I just really encourage everybody to continue to talk to each other and, you know, make sure that if they're plating something and someone sees that something hasn't been crossed off, to be like, hey, we did this, did we get this? I don't see it on here. Can someone grab this for me? So that we're always working together and communicating with each other with, you know, what our needs may be at the time.
Yeah, I'd say communication is really, really vital, and I think, you know, speaking for myself, I didn't ever work in culinary, but I think that what a great life opportunity to work on communication, and one of the best places to do it would be in a kitchen. So
Yeah, it's definitely taught me a lot of communication skills that I can, you know, take on with me no matter where I go. So hopefully everyone feels that way too.
absolutely. So, all right, so we got these all ready to go, and I think they're ready to head out. So let's
All right.
head on out.
have the name and the room number. And I always encourage everybody to make sure it matches the name and the room number on the door, so it's getting delivered to the right place. And then we have her drinks with her names on them that we leave with the bag. And now we're ready to move on to the next one.
All right, so that's kind of full circle for everyone, the whole process. You can see how involved this process really is. And so thank you, Emily, for showing us around and showing us the entire process. And Matt, thank you again for allowing this time. But we got one more quick fun thing we got to look at. What is that place?
Well, we're going to go to the bistro because here next week we are excited to welcome all of you back to Haps Bistro and the Lakeview Terrace Dining Room. As you know, we'll be opening at 50% capacity. Now, kind of reflecting on this experience, you might be asking yourself, gosh, that's kind of an elaborate process. There's a lot that goes into that. Couldn't we simplify it? The truth of the matter is we've worked really hard on this system, and it works very, very well. And it was all done in an effort to preserve the culinary experience as best as possible during COVID. Our thoughts early on, we were faced with some tough decisions. Do we reduce the size of the menu? Do we do this? Do we do that? And we decided we want the residents to enjoy the same culinary experience that they did in the dining room. And so that's why Emily and her team and Chef Aaron and his team worked so diligently to make sure that we could make that a reality. And as we welcome you back into the dining room, many of you took a survey over the last week, and it is a 50-50 split. Half of you expect to order in your rooms for room service, and the other half of you are planning to make reservations in the dining room. We're very excited to have you back in the dining room, and so that process will stay as it is for half of the residents, and we'll be back to regular dining room service with the point of sale system and full service restaurant waiters and waitresses in the dining room. So we are excited to have you back. So here we are back in Haps Bistro. Now the bistro has been closed for almost an entire year. We closed this down shortly after COVID hit, and we again are very excited to welcome you back to the bistro. Now, many of you may remember the menus that we had in place, and you know the bistro is a very popular spot for residents and team members alike. So opening this back up is we're really excited about it. So over here we have our new. We have some new menus that we've been working on. A lot of the breakfast items have stayed the same. You remember the breakfast pizzas, the breakfast quesadillas, the breakfast sandwiches, all of that stuff is going to stay the same, in addition to the fruit cups, the yogurt cups, and all of the breakfast grab-and-go items that we've always offered. Over here is our lunch menu. That should look familiar with the Reuben sandwich, the tuna melt, and the pizzas. Everything that, you know, for the most part, everything that we used to offer is still on there. We've had to make some menu adjustments. Mostly just to kind of speed things up over here. Just because, you know, that line from time to time at the bistro would get a little too long. The wait times would get a little long, and we need to just kind of keep the line moving and expedite the service a little bit. So we've modified our systems back here to accommodate that, along with having a maximum occupancy over here of about 15 people. So yeah, these are our menus, and the surprise of the day is we are now going to be offering breakfast all day. Instead of 8 to 11, we'll be serving breakfast at both breakfast and lunchtime. So a nice surprise.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. What about coffee? Any changes with coffee at all, or is that staying the same?
The coffee program maintains, we're maintaining our relationship with the Starbucks We Proudly Serve program. So that's actually something on the agenda for this week is kind of a refresher training and some training for a new team member that'll be down here. Well, thank you for joining us on this tour through the Culinary Services Department. Again, we are ecstatic to have you back in the independent living dining venues starting next week. Look forward to seeing you.
Thank you so much, Matt, and I'm very excited to have everyone enjoying that dining experience again. I know that it's a long time coming, and we're very excited, and your team is absolutely outstanding. So thank you again for letting us come into your world.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.